Many people on PEI will be familiar with Bob Jensen. He's a longtime island resident who's a booking agent for a number of performers around the world, some who have performed on the island because of his efforts. But it turns out Bob has many talents of his own, writing poetry being a particular passion. Bob has just released a new audiobook featuring 15 spoken word poems. It's called A Blossom for Job. Bob dropped by the studio earlier to tell us more. Hi, Bob. It's great to see you again.
Hello, Angela. Nice to see you.
For people who don't know about your wonderful career so far, just tell people a little bit about what it is you do, and it's pretty fascinating work you do.
Well, thank you. I'm a booking agent. I work with mostly folk and roots artists from all over the world. I've booked people from India and Africa and North America, Europe, and been lucky to work with some very cool people like Johnny Clegg from South Africa and the late Pete Seeger, Mick Taylor from the Rolling Stones. Something I've been doing for, I guess about 22, 23 years now, and probably will continue to do for quite some time. This whole poetry thing is just what I do on the side for fun.
Yeah, how long have you been writing poetry?
Well, I've been writing for my whole life, but things got really busy with business and raising a family. And so I kind of got away from it for a while. And my kids are grown up now. Our youngest is 18. So I find I have more time in my evenings and weekends. If I'm not working or hanging with the kids, I'm probably writing.
What is it that draws you to poetry? Is there a release there for you of creative energy? Is it getting your feelings out? What do you get from it?
I just enjoy it. I feel compelled to write. I have these ideas in me. I have these feelings. And I want to share them. The goal when I write is to try to take those ideas and feelings that I have inside me and put them inside you. You know, whether you're a painter or a musician or a novelist, I think essentially that's what all artists are trying to do, is to share ideas and feelings and put them inside other people because they feel that they're important.
So tell us about this audio book of your poetry. What made you decide to do it, first of all? Not a lot of people seem to be doing audio books of poetry.
Yeah, well, I've got a bunch of projects on the go right now. Last year I wrote a book of poetry, which was 100 poems interpreting the paintings of Marc Chagall. And I've got another project on the go called Other Voices, which features I think about 15 artists from 4 continents who are performing my work, some who are simply reciting it, and others who have taken the poems and turned them into songs. I've got a couple of other things on the go, and I wanted to get something out this spring, and over the past few years, I've been writing some of these poems that kind of question faith and God, and I thought I had enough of them that I would put them into a collection and just get them out there.
And it's called A Blossom for Job.
Yes. One of the tracks from the audio book is called A Blossom for Job. Poor Job had a bit of a rough go of it. And I think when people face difficulties and hardship, that there's a little bit of Job in every man. And in this poem that I just referred to, there is a blossom for Job. There's something that is given back for a prayer. So I thought that the title would kind of sum up what the collection of the 15 poems is about.
We love to hear them all, but I have asked you to set one up for us. What are we going to hear now?
We are going to hear a poem called Higher Ground. It's the first track on the book, and I think it's self-explanatory. It just talks about the nature of man, the nature of evil, and how that came about and why it is maybe the way it is today.
Higher ground. God sent forth an ape unto the wide and mighty plain, where he stood upon 2 legs, the higher ground to gain. He made the veldt land vicious, where the griffin vultures dive, so the small and weak might perish, and the strongest might survive. And the cruel and robust flourished, and destroyed their weaker kin, till millennia transformed them to a race of ruthless men. And the strongest men went forth to rape and murder on the plains, and made the world their slave, the higher ground to gain. Then God sent forth a lamb unto that vast forbidding plain, where he walked among the wolves, who bore the mark of Cain. And he was meek and gentle on that step where battles roar, as he addressed those wolves on those killing fields of yore. He said, my Father sent me with this message on this day, that you must renounce all violence, that peace must rule the day. But they said, your Father made us on the harsh and vicious plain. Then they raised him up above the earth, the higher ground to gain. For when he called the ape unto the unforgiving plain, he made the first centurion and cruelty's endless game.
How did you record this, Bob? Where did you do all that?
This was a real penny pincher of a project. I wrote the material, I performed it, I recorded it at home on a Zoom microphone, which is a very inexpensive little tool, but it gets fantastic quality, and I designed the cover, and I did it for pennies. So it was done on a shoestring.
Obviously, a labor of love for you. What do you hope people will get from hearing your poems?
I would hope that they touch people in some way, maybe make people think. You know, the musicians and the poets and artists who I love most make me think. They make me step back and think, oh, wow, I didn't think of it that way, you know, and they kind of make you see things differently, and I would hope that maybe I would be so fortunate as to be able to have that effect.
And you're going to have a chance to perform some of these poems live in an event in England?
Yeah, and that came out of the blue. I was invited to perform my poetry at the Folkies Festival in Suffolk, England, in August. So I'm a bit nervous about that because I haven't been on a stage in about 30 years. But,
oh my goodness.
But I'm going to do it. Like I sometimes say, you only live once and you're dead for a long time, so...
You might as well go for it.
Might as well go for it. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be off to Denmark for a week or so, and we'll be visiting with some friends and doing some writing there as well. So looking forward to that very much.
If people want to purchase a copy of your book, what should they do?
It's available digitally right now on virtually all the platforms. So if you go on Amazon or CD Baby or any of those platforms, you'll be able to find it. Or if you just Google Bob Jensen, A Blossom for Job, you'll get various links where you can purchase it.
Thanks so much for coming in, and keep writing those beautiful poems.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Bob Jensen has just released a new audiobook called A Blossom for Job.